Thank you all. I so greatly value and appreciate being here. This is a very important topic. It's global childhood malnutrition. And as Dr. Prasad says, I am a psychiatrist. I've been practicing for 35 years, but have shifted my energies to raising awareness and hoping to empower people to find ways that many of us in our own ways can do things to really help improve the quality of life for people around the world. And I think you'll understand my passion as we go through the presentation. There's no secret that COVID hit the world by storm. And, you know, we all understand COVID as it related to us in our individual ways, but it decimated the globe with not only the virus, and we lost 6.5 million people, but the starvation, the decimated supply chains, the water, no clean water is just beyond belief what our fellow human beings have suffered through COVID. So needless to say, COVID threw a wrecking ball in the issue of global childhood malnutrition, meaning children that are starving, they're wasting. And I really don't want to exaggerate this, but there were efforts being made prior to COVID to really help improve the nutritional status of children worldwide. But COVID really threw this major wrecking ball. So it's time for us to sit back, examine, and look at models that work and start brainstorming and saying, gee, how can we make a difference? So it's in this spirit that I am presenting this. I want to say this: UNICEF stated that the world is now a virtual tinderbox for catastrophic levels of severe malnutrition for children. So really, it's a call to action. And as we're saying, you know, the wasting, that just not getting the nutrients that children need in many areas of the globe. Now, UNICEF put out a press release, and that was back on June 23rd of 2022, that stated global hunger crisis is pushing one child into severe malnutrition every minute in 15 crisis hit countries. And they say the countries that are the greatest are Southeast Asia, but it's not all. Africa, it spans the globe. Now, I'm here with some good news. There is a model that I'm familiar with that has been working. I think the issue is getting the word out and looking at models like this and say, gee, how can we expand them? And how can we create other models like this that are actually working? So this model that I'm going to talk about was started by Sam and Linda Castor. Sam has been active in the world of nutritional supplementation for many years. He's very knowledgeable. And he and his wife, they had in their hearts to support orphans. They said, gee, and this is back in 1997. They said, gee, what can we do to help donate and nourish orphans? So this all started with an orphanage in Romania. And they donated, this is back in 1997, they donated top quality nutrients to children in orphanages in Romania. So then one day, an orphanage headmaster called the Castors, pleading for help. He wasn't asking for money. He said, brainstorm with me, help us. We need to figure out a way to get more of these nutrients to our children in the orphanage. And he pleaded with them, you know, the winters get cold there in Romania. And he said, this is life or death. So honestly, without the nutrients, 30 to 40 children died in Romania every winter of chronic and infectious disease. With the nutrients, the children thrived through the harshest of winters. It didn't mean they didn't get sick, but they bounced back, they recovered. And the Castors knew that, wow, this was a little pilot project, but something more needed to be done. And then in 1999, Manna Relief was born. It's a 501c3 for all outside the US. That's a designation for not-for-profit status, and any donations are tax exempt. And their mission, very simply, is to nourish orphans and medically vulnerable children worldwide. Now, some of the feedback, this is from President Museveni of Uganda. He stated he thanked Manna Relief, stating, quote, it has made a more significant quality of life impact on our country's most health-challenged children than any other form of intervention, unquote. Well, that's something that we don't take lightly. It's like, wow. Now, from southwestern Kenya, Dr. Ben Akinga, who directs several hospitals in southwestern Kenya, spoke about the great benefits to the most critically ill children with HIV/AIDS. And this is what he said, quote, they arrived at our hospitals at death's door. But to our amazement, these children were up and walking within 2 to 3 weeks. In all my years of working with this virus, I have never seen anything like this. And I can tell you, as one of many who we followed and supported Manna Relief closely, back then, we remember the miraculous stories from Africa, the tiniest of infants being born to mothers with AIDS, and they would receive very small amounts of the nutrients, tiny amounts. And what we realized back then is that, wow, these children are born, it's like they're born fighting. They don't need much. And poof, you would get pictures and the children be happy, playing in high school, wearing their uniforms, graduating. They had goals for their future. And it was just something that made you stop and think. It's like, wow, that tiny amount of nutrients would make that difference to a child who was born under such severe adverse conditions. And for all of us that have been involved at some level with Manna Relief, it's like, you know what? This is a story that needs to be told. We need to share this really important information, because I think, you know, there's a lot, it's a big world. And the truth is, too many people do not know. Now, there are other organizations that are partnering with Mana Relief. And this is the Brain and Body Foundation. Some of you may be familiar with the Brain and Body Foundation. And you can see there's their website, brainandbodyfoundation.org. And their founder, he is their medical director, is Dr. David Ajibade. He works in Nigeria and in the US. Remarkable, remarkable results. And what he does, he's a big advocate of nutrients. So he partners with companies or not-for-profits that offer high-quality nutrients. And he is very accessible. You can look on Facebook. He has regular broadcasts, and his organization deals with very severe conditions. One of the worst is sickle cell. And you would think sickle cell is going to have benefits with high quality nutrients. Well, it does. So he not only works with children with sickle cell, a whole array of serious conditions, mental health conditions, brain disorders, physical, cystic fibrosis. I would encourage you to become familiar with his work. It is extremely inspiring. And we learned of him because he partners with Mana Relief and utilizes their supplements, as well as several other companies. So it is quite an undertaking, but it is extremely encouraging when you see children for otherwise, which there is no hope, there's absolutely no hope, and to actually see them making progress. Now, another strategic partner, and I hope this plays, is Vamos Mexico. I hope you can hear this.
The single biggest issue that faces children in the world today is the problem of malnutrition. Well, here we are at Mana Relief. We're about to ship our very first shipment of Phyto Blend to Mexico. It's going through an organization called Vamos Mexico, run by former President Vicente Fox and his wife. Honor, pleasure, Central Watch, welcome, Sam, Pastor,
I apologize.
Know that the single biggest issue that faces children in the world today is the problem of malnutrition. Well, here we are at Mana Relief. We're about to ship our very first shipment of Phyto Blend to Mexico. It's going through an organization called Vamos Mexico, run by former President Vicente Fox and his wife. Honor, pleasure, Central Watch, welcome, Sam, Pastor, this commitment, bring in high quality products that will help people in the center of Mexico. We are looking for strategic partners around the world to help us in the distribution of a sustainable nutritional support program for the world's most vulnerable children. enough nutritional support for 5,000 children for the next 6 months. We'll provide enough for children on
we participate in the program. So we were excited to have this, especially because we don't have money that could put them. Ver todos estos cambios con los niños, con la alimentación de los niños y los deliciosos que andan ellos, lo más yo siento que es debido a este programa que nos están introduciendo en nuestra alimentación.
The nutrients donated by Manna Relief all contain ace-mannan. Ace-mannan is the biological active ingredient in the inner gel of the aloe vera plant, and it's used for optimal immune support. Now, the children are nourished by drinking Mighty Milk. Mighty Milk is a powdered milk chock full of nutrients and plenty of ace-mannan. And before we close, I want to bring this to your attention. Doctors Without Borders wrote an article, Food is Not Enough. And these are two of the doctors that authored this. Dr. Milton Tectonides, who stated, as doctors, malnutrition is a disease caused by deficiencies in nutrients. The human body needs at least 40 nutrients essential for health. And then Dr. Butima Lakuj stated, sadly, there is a sense of complacency and fatigue addressing malnutrition deaths. He also made the very important point, there's a confusion between hunger. Hunger is a lack of food quantity, and malnutrition, which is the lack of nutritional quality of food. And he also described a sense of urgency, that the fortified blends of flours, strictly the carbs, are not enough. So, to summarize, this is to raise awareness, okay? There is an exciting program. They have a corporate donor right now. So for every $25, it's matched to provide 500 servings of Mighty Milk, and each child gets 1 serving a day. So in raising awareness, I'm asking that you share this with family, friends, anybody that might be interested in getting involved in any way. Many of us are limited financially, but we can get the word out. Manna Relief is open in 90 countries around the world. And then I'm going to close. This is the website for Manna Relief, mannarelief.org. I would encourage you to get on the website, learn more, and as your heart speaks to you, get involved. And to close, I'm going to give you my personal email and phone number, because I think about this a lot, is how do we get the word out? There are so many children, and this is an organization, they've been open since 1999. They have the inroads to the orphanages, but they need the resources. They need the funds to really, and they operate very efficiently. So, and there's so many children needing to be nourished. And again, it's not fed, it's nourished. So I want to thank you so much for your time and attention today. It's been an absolute privilege to present to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Mary. It was wonderful. So the Manna Relief, you're doing an excellent service across 90 countries, and hope the children. So there are a lot of malnutrition diseases associated, like sickle cell anemia. I think the milky way milk is also good. So apart from the milk and the aloe vera, the powder, you also do any other supplements apart from this, Dr. Mary?
Actually, I do. There are several. In the US, we're having a huge problem with EMF. And the 5G is exploding. And there's a doctor who has researched, he's researched for 30 years. And he is the first radiation biologist in the world. And he now has a supplement that for both adults and children to really complete nourishment and protect against the damages of EMF. So I think there are new advances, and it's so important for us to be aware of them. And they are currently US and Canada, but they are looking to expand globally.
Yes. What age is the people, like children, when you say the children malnutrition? What specific, is there any specific age that we need to be very cautious about the age of the children?
Oh, actually, so these children in the orphanages, I mean, they are born, like for example, the children I told you about in Africa, they are born with wasting. They are so deficient. But what we learned from Manna Relief is that tiny amounts. And I had the privilege of doing some research for children with mental health conditions with these supplements. And it's funny, it took the kids in the US, it took higher quantities to have them with the result, get the benefits. But the children that were so malnourished, they had a little bit and poof, they would flourish. So that, I think, there's so much of this that really, really needs to be studied. But the beauty of the supplements is they're safe. They're very safe. There's no, there's nothing toxic. It's multivitamin supplementation, but it shows us the essential nature of very high quality nutrition.
Okay. That's perfect, Dr. Mary. It's lovely to talk to you, and I hope Manna Relief is wonderful, and we'll try to reach and we'll extend our support from every corner of the world. Please.
Thank you so much.
You're doing an excellent job, Dr. Mary. Thank you so much for
Thank
being with us. And we move on to our next.